my questioning, and I move to the gentleman, Mr. Min, Representative Min from California. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I see that we are on the Oversight Committee. We're exploring oversight. That seems to be a topic we're largely ignoring, but I will get back to that in a moment. A lot of discussion around energy policy and climate change. And so I guess my question is, for each of you, do you have a degree in science? Let's start with you, Mr. Epstein. PhD, master's?
No,
Yes,
believe it or not, you
yes
can be
or
a
no,
self-taught
yes or no
expert.
question. Yes or no question, sir.
It's not quite a valid
Ms.
question.
Carr, do you have a degree in science?
No.
Mr. Hergott, are you a degree in science? Undergrad, MBA, or master's?
No, but I am a nerd.
Okay, how about yourself, doctor? I guess you are a scientist. What was your degree in?
Economics, social
That's
science.
not a
You're
science.
not a climate scientist, then?
Not a climate scientist,
Okay.
a social scientist.
Okay,
yes.
interesting. So I am not a scientist either. I'm a lawyer. I am self-taught as well. But I work with a lot of scientists at UC Irvine. I've talked to a lot of scientists around climate, around oceans, and our atmosphere. And I think there is clearly a consensus that the burning of fossil fuels by emitting carbon into our atmosphere is causing dramatic changes in our environment. The science on this is fairly undisputed at this point, other than a handful of people on the extremes. I think every credible scientist agrees with this. We're seeing the effects of this right now. Extreme weather events, 140-degree temperatures in India last year, highest ever in recorded history. And the thing is, I think if we listen to the scientists, I know scientists are a little out of style today, that in 100 years we're going to look back and say that the weather today, the temperatures were uniquely cool, and the weather patterns were uniquely benign. And so I will just make an observation that I think we have a moral imperative to think about the future that we are creating for our children, grandchildren, and beyond. I will also say that, I know there's a lot of talk about economics here, but that we should be thinking about the external costs, negative externalities of burning fossil fuels. That's something that we know is not factored into the cost of oil. When we pay for gas at the gas pump, we're not paying for the costs that these impose over time on our society. And I think these costs are conservatively estimated in the tens of trillions of dollars to our society. But I want to take this back to the question of oversight, because last May, Donald Trump famously held a meeting with oil executives that was organized by the person that then became the Secretary of Interior, where he publicly stated that he would slash regulations on the oil industry if they donated $1 billion to his campaign. At the time, my kids were asking me, isn't this a bribe? It looks like a bribe when somebody running for office promises to do something in exchange for a contribution. I said, it does look like a bribe. I don't know how to describe this. The oil industry, of course, responded with hundreds of millions of dollars in donations, both directly to Trump's campaign, as well as through different super PACs and other vehicles that were created by Citizens United. And now, of course, we have congressional Republicans pushing forward an agenda to try to deregulate oil. Now, I've had thousands of constituents call my office to say, we need to stop this. This is bribery. This is the House Republicans pushing pay-to-play policies. I question to you, and I guess I'll direct this to Mr. Name. It is Dr. Cletus. How am I supposed to respond to my kids? How am I supposed to respond to my constituents who say that this is institutionalized bribery, that there is no oversight happening right now of this carrying out of pay-to-play policies?
You know, it's really disturbing to see the administration's appointees, many of whom are directly connected to the fossil fuel industry or are climate science deniers. As you said, the science is nonpartisan. It is universally accepted that human-caused climate change is being driven by burning fossil fuels. As an economist, I can tell you it's already having a significant impact on the U.S. economy. You just need to look at the insurance crisis, the pending crisis to real estate that's exposed to extreme weather and climate-related events, the labor productivity impacts of extreme heat waves. The economic fingerprints of climate change are also clear. So in this context—
Just reclaiming my time, sorry to interrupt, Doctor, I would just point out that there are lots of jobs being created around the world right now. And is it the case that China and Germany and other countries are investing heavily in clean energy right now?
They are.
And do you see that as the future of, say, jobs and innovation?
It absolutely is.
Yeah, so we are moving away from that, and this happens to follow a promise made by then candidate Trump to slash regulations on oil in exchange for $1 billion. And I just want to make that point because a lot of folks out there are questioning why we're doing this in the aftermath of Donald Trump making that promise. And there's no oversight of that promise. There was none last year. There's none right now of what looks very blatantly like it is a criminal activity of promising something in return for campaign contribution, which we all know is illegal. If I did that, I would rightly be charged. But there was no oversight. There continues to be no oversight over that particular exchange. With that, I yield back.
Thank you. The gentleman from Pennsylvania, Mr. Perry, is recognized.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'm not a scientist.